This video is a review of the Hammer 88 MIDI controller from M-Audio. Here at Sunday Sounds, we've seen lots of churches adopt the Hammer 88 over the last few years. It's a relatively inexpensive, fully weighted MIDI controller. All 88 keys, supposed to be a pretty good feel on the keyboard. So we've seen lots of folks ask, is this the best controller option for our worship keys rig? Well, we did not know the answer, so we thought we'd bring one in, open it up, and see what it can do. Let's check it out. All right, whoa. Okay, so we're all out of the box. It does come with this little sheet music holder. I'm gonna go ahead and set that to the side. Our model did not come with a sustain pedal. Depending on where you buy it, it might come with one. Came with the USB cable we need, and the Hammer 88 is bus powered, which means if you plug it into USB on your computer, it's gonna get the power that it needs from the computer itself. That was really satisfying. So this is the Hammer 88, sort of my initial first impressions. I've never actually touched or played this keyboard before. We're gonna talk about the feel in just a minute, but first let's talk about features and I/O. To start off with, on the front face, it's super straightforward, very basic and minimal. You've got transpose up and down. You've got master volume. I believe that sends MIDI, so you can map that. You've got a nice feeling mod wheel here, and then pitch bend. The rest of the panel is completely bare. Now, one thing I'll mention is that the Hammer 88's top surface has a little bit of a curve to it. It does have a nice metal feel. The construction feels really high quality, but if you were hoping to rest your laptop or something on top of here, that's definitely not gonna happen. Even if you had enough space vertically, it's just curved, so it's not really intended for that. But you could absolutely, gaff tape or Velcro, something like a Nano Control 2 up on the top here. You'd have plenty of space for that. I think you could do the same thing with an audio interface if you wanted to set one off to the side, but you definitely need a separate stand for your laptop. So the back panel is just about as minimal as the front. You've got the possibility to run it off of a power jack if you're not using the USB port. You've got the USB port, which will supply power otherwise. You've got a MIDI out, place for your sustain pedal, a secondary foot switch, and for an expression pedal, and that's it. From what I can tell and the way that M-Audio markets the Hammer 88, it is purposefully bare bones. It's focused on the key bed and how it feels as a MIDI keyboard. So let's connect it to the computer and try it out. Okay guys, so setup was super simple. Like I said, the Hammer 88 is bus powered, so a single USB cable plugged into the back, into the Mac, and it's good to go. Other than that, just sustain pedal for this, and we are ready to give this a try. So we're gonna use the SK Grand, which is the flagship grand piano in Sunday keys, and we're gonna start with just the piano sound, because in my opinion, if you're sort of gauging the feel of a MIDI controller, there's no better place to start than just a piano sound on its own. So I'm just gonna give this a play and then we'll talk about how it feels. Okay, so I'm absolutely able to be expressive in my playing, and that's the bare minimum of what we would expect from a fully weighted key bed in a MIDI controller like this. And what that means is I'm able to play at really low velocities, or just in layman's terms, play really quietly, and that translates. So I can very softly play a note, and I hear a response that sort of lines up with what I would expect. And then I can also play with a lot of intensity at a high velocity, and that responds as I would expect as well. So here's where it gets a little bit subjective. We have the range of expressiveness here available, and everything after that point just comes down to personal preference and feel. So one of the first things I notice about this keyboard, and I'm actually really just kind of comparing this to the SL88 Studio, which is the fully weighted keyboard that I use in my home studio that I take with me if I need to take a keyboard somewhere. The response from the Hammer 88 is a good deal lighter, in my opinion. And it's a little bit hard to define, but especially I notice it with just how easy it is to start a note moving downward. It takes very little pressure for me to just feel like the key starts moving. Contrasting that to the SL88, I feel like there's a good deal of resistance before the notes actually start moving at all, which to me feels a little bit more like the pianos, the real pianos that I grew up playing. So that's something that I have a preference for. But if you prefer a lighter touch and then a good bit of resistance as the note starts to move, I think this might be more suited for you. But I would say overall, though there is definitely a pleasant weight to this key bed, it feels lighter to me than the SL88 Studio. That being said, it's still plenty expressive, and if you are coming from a synth action or a semi-weighted keyboard, you're definitely going to notice a lot more weight and a sense of resistance from these keys. Now, the word resistance there is sort of a positive thing if you're talking about playing piano-style sounds, because that's what a piano player would be used to with a real grand or upright piano in front of them. It helps you be really articulate and sort of avoid it being too easy or sort of feeling weightless to trigger notes. The range across the key bed also feels balanced. This is not a graded hammer action. What that means is all of the notes are supposed to take about the same amount of pressure, and they're supposed to respond similarly all the way across. If you wanted to take this to another level of realism, you'd be spending more money to get a graded hammer action keyboard. The Hammer 88 is not graded, which means you're going to expect and hopefully get a similar response across all notes on the keyboard. If I were playing for a longer session, I think this might be a little less tiring than the SL88 Studio because those notes just take a little bit less effort to start. There's still a decent amount of spring back, which means when I release a note, it pops up very quickly. There's sort of a responsiveness there, so I'm able to play at a quicker speed on the same note and not feel like I'm waiting for that note to come back up before I can hit it again. And I would say the travel here is a little bit quicker than on the SL88 Studio, which definitely has a little bit of a slower spring back. So overall, I like the feel. I prefer the feel of the SL88 Studio because it's a little bit heavier. Those notes don't start quite as easily. But if you prefer a lighter touch and you still want some of that weight, I think this would be a great choice. Let's talk about a couple of the other sort of quality of life things here. You have a really great feeling mod wheel. There's a long sweep to it. It feels really great. It's got that end right in the middle. It's easy to catch and feel like you can take control over it. You also have pitch bend here. This mod wheel is really awesome. Comparing it to the SL88 Studio again, which just has 3 joysticks, there's so much more of a feeling of a tactile expressive range here. I've gotten used to the joysticks, and that to me is sort of the compromise with the SL88. This feels great, and if I could get the mod wheel from this with the key bed of the SL88, I'd probably be perfectly happy. You've also got the only other slider here, master volume. This does send MIDI, so if you wanted to, you could assign it to do something inside of MainStage or Ableton Live. So to sum up, the M-Audio Hammer 88 comes in at about $500 USD currently. Should you buy one for your church, or are there better options out there? The build quality is great. It's super substantial. The key bed is good quality. You've got the full expressive range of velocity on tap. Really great mod wheel here if you rely on that for your performances. The surface being curved on the top isn't a deal breaker because there's not enough space to really put much up there anyways. So if you want a fully weighted key bed with a little bit of a lighter touch, I think the M-Audio Hammer 88 is a great choice. If you prefer a little bit of a heavier key bed, I think the SL88 Studio might be a better fit. We did a full review of that keyboard. If you'd like to check it out, we'll put a link in the description. If you use a Hammer 88, leave a comment and let us know how it's worked out for you. We'll also put a link in the description if you'd like to check out the Hammer 88 for yourself. That'll be an affiliate link, so if you happen to purchase through that link, we'll receive a small commission at no extra cost to you. It's a great way to support the channel. Another great way is to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, or share a link to the video with a friend of yours that you think would enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed this gear review video. Let us know what you'd like us to review next. Have a great day. Yeah, this is a hefty boy.